This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Join me as I analyze the thrilling Red Panda Adventures Episode 5, The Devil's Due, featuring bloody contracts, bespoke torment, and mastering a master. For those of you who don't know, Red Panda is an audio drama series inspired by the Shadow and Other Pulp heroes, written and directed by Greg Taylor, but I'll tell you all about that in a minute. Red Panda Adventures number 5, The Devil's Due, originally aired December 10th, 2005. It was written and directed by Greg Taylor, and this is from Season 1, which is 12 episodes long. The great, wonderful, super awesome, gets me hyped synopsis for this episode is as follows. Someone's been collecting old debts and leaving a trail of corpses in his wake, but the city's most feared gang leader isn't going gentle into that good night, and he's found himself an unlikely ally. But will the Red Panda learn that not even he can stop payment of the devil's due? Oh, those are so wonderful. Anyway, I don't have much to say about this episode. It was a good episode. I liked it. There was some interesting stuff in it, but not too much to dwell on. It was kind of straightforward and very simple in a lot of ways. There was a Abbott and Costello gag, which I actually think Kit said that in the beginning, of these two goons who work for Sclerelli, the mob boss, who wants his guys, his employees, his associates, to find a certain masked menace, or masked man, I should say. And anyway, they do that by one of them sticking up the other guy, which is kind of funny. I guess that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, playing with the genre and playing with the fact that the superhero or the hero always arrives when somebody's in trouble. So if you have two bad guys looking for a good guy, you can make one of them be in trouble, pretend, by the other one, and it'll all work out. It'll draw the attention of the heroes like moths to a flame. Anyway, so I like that we had dueling hypnotists, that we had the scared mob boss, and then that in Kit's delusion of bliss, that she was laying down, looking up the Red Panda, and I wonder what that delusion could have been referring to. But since this is a, I guess a G-rated show to PG-rated show, I won't say, but everybody who knows knows. But anyway, so the idea of these dueling hypnotists is really cool. I like that Red Panda learned hypnotism, and it's not a power that only he has, and we get to see that, not the first episode, but 5 episodes in, he's dealing with somebody else who has great hypnotic powers, and the shared understanding and the shared history and the fact that they're both master hypnotists in their own rights, it makes it an interesting battle, makes it an interesting duel. And Red Panda brings up this idea that it's easier to it's easier to set a hypnotic suggestion to somebody when they're already predisposed to believe that. So a great illustration of that was that when Nick Diablos went to go hit Sclerelli, the room was dark and the chair was turned away so that when Diablos entered the room, he was looking at the back of the chair, and he told Sclerelli to turn around, and I guess it sounded exactly like Sclerelli. It was Christopher Mott who plays the voice of, Jack Justice from Black Jack Justice, and does a bunch of voices here on Red Panda Adventures. But, in the story, it was because Red Panda was using a hypnotic suggestion to, I guess, disguise his voice as Sclerelli's, and Diablos believed that. And that makes sense that he'd be able to, because it was something that he wanted to believe. So if you want to believe in something, even if you know it's not true, you can be more easily suggested or hypnotized into believing that, and then perceiving that, which is pretty cool. I did like that a lot. Let me see. So, yeah, it was cool that Sclerelli went to Red Panda for assistance, and that he offered to turn himself in. And then by the end of the episode, we learned that he was not actually sincere in that, and he was trying to flee. But at least he, tried his best. So I think that's pretty cool. And I just like that he was so scared of Diablos that he went and turned to, somebody who he could count on to thwart this guy's plan, because he's been so effective at thwarting so much of the mob business before. And maybe it was even an enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing, where he thought, well, maybe these two will kill each other and I'll be free from them somehow, especially since he was looking to flee the country anyway. I thought that was a fun detail. And then, I won't talk about Kit's delusion of bliss, but it's just kind of funny. So if you didn't get it by this point in listening to the show, Kit is romantically interested in Red Panda, and we'll leave it at that. something I did think was odd was that the first guy to die, he was in a locked room. He tormented, or, Diablos cast him into the shadow realm where he'd be tormented forever. In his mind, he did that to him. By the way, if you don't know what that is, that's kind of funny. Anyway, the idea that he was able to infiltrate the room, that he was able to, conceal himself, that he was able to, do all these different things, I buy and I accept. But the fact that he was able to get out of the room with it locked doesn't really make sense to me unless he mind controlled that particular victim to lock the door behind him, and then that was it, and then he let him fall into his catatonic state. But that doesn't really make sense. That's not what was suggested or said at all, but it could be the case. It's just, it deepens the horror and the terror of the incident, and it makes the power of the devil that Nick Diablo supposedly had even more terrifying, because how is he able to get, he got into the room when it was locked, and he got out with it being locked, so that adds to the air of mystery and his supernatural powers to help everybody continue to believe in the hypnotic suggestion. Moving on. So yeah, Nick Diablos is a master hypnotist of some sort. We don't know where he learned this. He's known this technique and this. Wow, well, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that. He's had this ability for over 20 years. So probably 23 years or maybe 22. And that means that however long Red Panda has been active, which doesn't seem to be more than a handful of years, that Nick Diablos has been active for a decade or more. Well, almost 2 decades more than him. So this guy could have been a hypnotist for 25 years, and it's no wonder he was so, I don't know, I guess he'd lost himself to his power and what he could do, and, taking his, he could have just let it go and had profited off of these people. And, he makes the joke that the hours are pretty good when you're a parasite, as opposed to doing something else with your powers. But, he could have just dropped it, and yet his greed and his avarice and his refusal to do anything else with his powers, and just to take the win and go and cut his losses, ultimately led to him falling into his own torment under Red Panda. But Diablos had a good reason to believe that he would be able to best Red Panda, which is that he how's your kung fu? That he had been doing this hypnotism stuff for maybe 10, 15 more years than Red Panda, very easily. And that's pretty darn impressive. So, and that also kind of raises the threat of Diablos, because look at how much more experienced he is with this stuff than Red Panda is. And, I mean, yeah, there's no indication that Red Panda has been doing this for 10 years. So, even he's been a master hypnotist for double the time that Red Panda has been. And that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, that's pretty impressive. And then I think his plan is cool. Obviously, it's bad and it's wrong to extort people like that. But boosting these people's confidence, belief in themselves, and using their, just basically giving them a big pep talk and then extorting them for that. That's pretty clever planning. It's good work if you can get it. Immoral work, but good work. And last note, I just think it's interesting that 22 years is the length that supposedly, in at least this Red Panda universe, if not in the real world, is the length of time that a hypnotic suggestion can work. And I'm not going to look into it and research it to find out if that's true or not, because I'm sure the claims are dubious either way. But it's just an interesting idea, and it does show how studied Red Panda is. Whoever he learned hypnotism from either taught him that, or because he's so interested in diversifying his knowledge and making sure that he knows as much as he can about things, so that he can be prepared for everything, like a Batman type character, that he would have researched and discovered that truth about the efficacy and the length of time that hypnosis has worked for people. So anyway, once again, that was really cool. Great detail. And I don't know, it's a good show. Lots of fun. Not much more to say about this episode, because like I said, it was pretty good and pretty interesting and lots of fun. And I mean, there wasn't really much to complain about, and there weren't too many extra things to delve into. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Before I do, I'm going to suggest that you go over to mjmunoz.com and check out all the other stuff I have there. I have a podcast page linked in the show notes that will take you to all my other podcasts if you want to discover what I'm working on besides the Red Panda reports and my coverage of Red Panda Adventures. And I have pulp-inspired heroes that I'm working on in my own superhero universe. And before I get to those, I'm going to finish writing my children's picture books inspired by stuff like Godzilla and I guess you could say like Power Rangers and Digimon and things like that. So I've got a wide set of interests, and I continue to work on them all because it makes me happy, and I'm hoping to turn myself into a full-time storyteller with these things. So anyway, I encourage you to check all that out, and that's all I have to say for now. This is MJ signing out. I hope you enjoyed that. Go to mjmunoz.com to leave any questions, comments, or other feedback you might have. There you can find all of my analysis, art, and fiction. I cover books, tokusatsu, comic books, anime, and more. Look around. You're sure to find something else that you'll enjoy as well. This has been a Story Over Everything production.